Hi, it's Christian Martin, and in this documentary, you're going to follow me for 10 days as I become more conservative in my water use. I'm going to show you where I waste the most water and also ways to reverse it and save water. We're also going to follow students of CU Boulder and kind of ask them, hey, do you know where your water's coming from? Do you partake in the same activities as I that cause a lot of water loss? And if you do you realize how much water you're losing? I'm also going to teach you some cool facts about water, but overall, I hope you enjoy this documentary. So throughout this short film / documentary, I'm going to also be showing you instances in areas where I usually use a lot more water. And I'm also going to demonstrate how water is important to me. One example, you're probably thinking, well, using less water is not that difficult. But for me it is, and just to illustrate how important water is to me, I'm probably the only college student with their own water container within their room. Like, that's pretty ridiculous. And that's just because, I think the taste and purity of water is important. But, and I sometimes buy bottled water. But now, and sometimes I only fill it up with this water. But, water's available everywhere. So what I'm going to be doing from now on is, if there's an area where I can fill up my water bottle, use that water instead. We live in Boulder, where we are actually the first users of the water source from, I forget which source it is, but I'll find out. But it then goes through 210 other municipalities where it's filtered and used over again until it hits the Mississippi, I believe. So that's just showing we're the first users of our water, so it's extremely pure, but yet I still buy other water like this. So from now on, I'm just going to be using water that's available on campus or wherever I go. Hi, I'm Future Christian, and what I want to quickly tell you is the next video talks about me taking a shower that's 3 minutes and 58 seconds. I tried to do something cool, and I have this little watch, stopwatch, and I did a high-speed recording of it going through 3 minutes and 58 seconds as I took my shower, but I have taken that out, and that is now replaced with me telling you that it was 3 minutes and 58 seconds because I didn't realize that the face of the watch it has a reflection of pretty much me naked getting in and out of the shower, and I obviously can't have that. That shower only took about 3 minutes and 58 seconds, a full 4 minutes shorter than I normally shower. There was no huge rush to get done or anything, but I just focus on the time, and that cut off 4 minutes. Another thing that's different is I now have slightly shorter hair, which definitely helped. But I did all that in 4 minutes. Wash my face, wash my body, shampoo and conditioner. Normally I don't always conditioner, and that would take maybe even 10 minutes. So yeah, big improvement. Okay, it is now April 21st. I have skipped the past 2 days because I was at a meet in Los Angeles, but I still took quicker showers. I only refilled my water bottle through the sink. I didn't buy any extra water, or I did buy 1 bottle of water to mix electrolytes in, but other than that, I just refilled this bottle from the sink. And let's see, I also just did simple things like continuing to hang up my towel to reuse instead of throwing it on the floor, because that saves water. It doesn't have to be washed. I didn't need my sheets washed. So I did that thing to save water in certain areas. It's not very difficult to do, as I realize. It's just being conscious about it. And in places like California where it's drought stricken, there are various things on the mirror that tell you what to do or to be conscious of it. And I think that's important. I don't see too much of that here. And we should probably have more because in Colorado we are in a drought. But so now another example is I have this water from the airport that I hate. I can't stand airport water. I'm privileged with the El Dorado water, the Boulder water we have here. But instead of dumping it out, which I wasn't planning on doing, I was going to drink it anyway, but I have a better use. I can just use it because I have some rice here. And with sushi rice, you have to wash it and drain it. So I'm just going to use this, and I'll let that soak and rinse it out, and now I can still enjoy my normal water that I have here without wasting any water anyway, so that's good. And then normally what I would do is I would rinse this out multiple times until it's completely clear, because you don't want it to be like a milky color because it's sushi rice and it's supposed to be clear. Who cares? It's gonna cook the same way. I'll only rinse it once, save a lot of water. A big thing I've been trying to do is reuse a lot of water. And so, say this thing, which was covered in, I think it had some kind of smoothie or coffee in it. And so I filled it with hot water to let it sit for a while. Well, there's no point in just dumping it out. I can just reuse it and use it for plants. And so it's something like that where it's just making, once again, the conscious effort to remind yourself. And so I'm just gonna keep reminding myself to use it for various things like plants, because it's a lot easier, it saves a ton of water, and I don't have to keep dumping it out. And that's what I've noticed I do the most. I constantly am just dumping out water. And, you know, there's a lot of easy ways to just save it. And so here we go, pouring it into some plants. Like you really need to see this, but anyway, it's good. Okay, so here's some rice, and obviously you can't cook rice with all the stuff that's supposed to be dumped out. It's supposed to be clear water. So what I can do is, obviously, just use it to water the plants in here. Pretty simple. Well, I guess just 2 plants. But as you can see, it is a pretty easy solution to wasting extra water. Okay, so it's April 22nd now, and I'm still using less water. In fact, I'm doing laundry right now, but instead of doing laundry like I do every week, I'm here at my parents' house in Denver, I saved a full week from another week and am doing now laundry from 2 weeks. So using a bunch of less water. I don't know how much that is, but I can look it up, but probably saves a lot by, you know, skipping one full load. Now I'm gonna shave, and I decided that this time I can just, you know, fill up the sink a little bit with some hot water and then just continue to rinse off the razor in there, opposed to, you know, running it through the water like I typically do every time. I just run it through, rinse it off, and keep shaving as the water's running. This could save a lot of water. It's now Monday, April 23rd, and what I've noticed is that as I've been conscious about using less water, every day I seem to notice more and more things that I can do to use less. So today I stopped, instead of showering in the morning, I realized I can just rinse my hair kind of in the sink and then wash my face in the sink as well. There's no point taking the shower if I have to take one again in 4 hours after practice. So I'll just use that as my shower for the day. Okay, today is April 24th, the Tuesday, and I'm going to show you some other things I found out as I've gone along. So every morning I have a hard-boiled egg for breakfast, and this is the water I used from yesterday. I always dump it out afterwards, but I decided to save it because all I have to do is simply just add more to it. And since I'm boiling water, and I don't know why we have this idea that we need to throw all the water out right away, but because if you boil it, you're automatically killing any germs or sterilizing it. So right away, there's a bunch of water I'm saving. At CU Track and Field and Cross Country, these are our showers. We typically turn them on and let them run for anywhere from like 2 to 3 minutes to warm up. But as of now, I'm only going to, you know, turn it on right when I get under it and deal with the cold water, but end up saving a lot of water. Okay everyone, I'm here with Steph Shadley,
Hello.
volleyball girl. We're going to talk about, she visited Uganda, she's visited there multiple times, and I guess I'm going to ask her if they treat water differently or view it differently opposed to how we do here.
Yes, so water, it's a little bit different because they don't have as much access to it. So each village has, like when you get more outside of the cities, there's like only a couple different wells within the villages. And so like our village has, like where our school is, there's a well. We got one put in the school, now, so they have access to fresh water there and bathing water. And then about, I want to say, a mile away from that, there's another well. And that's just like within the village. And then if you go another mile there, like there's another one. So they're really far apart, which is difficult because every single day they take the jerry cans, and they're these yellow cans, and they, like the little kids who got babies, there's like baby jerry cans and everything, and they go and get their water for the day.
So the whole family goes?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, wow.
usually actually they send the kids to go get it.
The kids
It's
go
kind of
get
like fun for them to go to the well because there's water everywhere, and
Yeah.
they're like playing in it, and they'll wash their clothes there too, at the well, and then go back and they have it. Like there's so many different ways that they carry it and stuff, but it's definitely a scarce thing because there's not as much, and so.
So how often do you think people bathe there? Like obviously we bathe once every day. Sometimes people bathe 2 or 3 times a day.
No, probably not every day. They definitely don't. It depends on the access. So the kids at the school, they can bathe every day because they have that access to the water right there. But if you don't, you wouldn't go every day. You just get your water for drinking, and then, but bathing, no.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And the bathing is also, the ones at the school, they have it good, so they can have, they have like a bathing area. But most people just kind of like, there's buckets, and like you see the babies just like sitting.
Now, is this something you realized right away when you got there, that water was treated much differently?
Yes, and since like me going there, I can't drink their water, so I have to buy water bottles from them, and so what water you have for the day, that's it. So you kind of have to manage that. You get a big water bottle, but yeah. Okay,
and my last question is, do you think that you've acted any differently now being back here in the United States after that?
It was weird whenever I came back. It's always kind of weird that first couple weeks that I'm back after it, but it was so weird going and just getting my ice water out of the refrigerator that I literally stopped and looked at it, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. And would you say you're like more conservative about certain things?
Or at least grateful.
Okay. Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
But conservative, I would say. It's sad though, because we sit and we fill up a tub of water and sit in it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a little different. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Okay, so it's April 26th, and every day I keep learning more things about how to be more be more conscious about my water use. And one thing I notice is a lot of people take extremely long showers. I'm one of them. I really enjoy just being in there. And so one thing I realized that I can do now, and the other thing I did was started cutting out, only doing shampoo and conditioner once every 3 or 4 days. And I think that's actually better for your hair. But I cut that out, so it cut down the time in the shower. But now when I do that, all I realize is the problem is that I'm just, you wait for the conditioner to be in your hair and you're just sitting in the water. Well, now what I've started doing is I turn off the water from doing anything that requires any type of soap. That way you do it, you wait or sit around or do other soap, and then you turn the water back on, and in the end the water's only on for probably 2.5 minutes, while you could, if you want to be in there, for 2 to 3 times that length. So it's not as relaxing, but you're not wasting water, which is good. Okay, it's the night of April 25th. Every night I wash my face, which I just did, and I noticed that normally I just have the water running for a long time to make sure it's warm. Open up my pores, that's how everyone does it. And then I wash my face while the water's still running. And then I wash it with the warm water, and then I switch to cold water to close them. And, that really takes, you're using a ton of water. Probably more than you're using while shaving, and I bet it uses around actually 4 gallons right there of water if you do that whole process and you take a long time and also kind of like rinse your hair like I do. So what I've decided to do now is just turn on the water on hot, start washing my face. Don't really need to worry about pores or anything, just get it wet, turn it off, soap everything, and then just turn it straight to cold. That way you wash it off with, it doesn't need to be warm. I mean, that's one thing I've grown to learn while doing this and being more conscious, is that a lot of these things are people we've just adapted, or things we do just to adapt to for comfort, and there's not really a big point in doing it other than that. You're just wasting water, and we've really learned that that's it's pretty harmful to do for the environment. Okay, it's April 27th, last day, and what I'm going to share is what I realized I spend the most, what I use most water on. And it shocked me, but it wasn't showers, it wasn't, I don't know, brushing my teeth or shaving or any of that stuff. It was purely, and it is purely, just cleaning stuff. Like this pot or these dishes, every time I do this, I leave the water on. And I have hot water running, and I scrub it, and I rinse it off, and I scrub it, and then I set it over here to dry. And what's going on is that I'm easily losing 10 gallons of water each time I do that. And every time, and I wash it in the morning. I wash it after, I don't have a dishwasher, which, I even question, am I saving water by washing it manually because I'm just having water run the whole time while I'm cleaning stuff. So after these 10 days, what I've realized is the most important thing for me is, turning off the water, cleaning it, turning it back on the water, rinsing it. So after my personal experiment, I figured it'd be really cool to run an experiment on CU Boulder and the people at CU. And so what I did was I sent out a large quiz to a bunch of people, and thank you, Professor, for sending that out, and that really helped. And I got 45 responses. And the quiz kind of looked for, do people know where their water comes from? Do people know how much the average American family spends on water? And what kind of activities do they partake in that cause water loss or result in water loss? And how often do they do these things? And I wanted to see, are they the same as mine? Or, do they understand or know how much water they're losing when they do these things? And so in the next couple of minutes, I'll share the results with you, and they're quite interesting. One of the first questions I asked was, how often do you shower? And as we can see, the students of Boulder, which for this quiz is 90%, or CU students, we can see that these people are all fairly conscious about their water use. Pretty much every single person, except 11%, showers either once a day or every other day, which is fairly conservative. The twice per day, those are probably athletes that took the test as I sent it to them, and usually you have to shower after practice, but overall, pretty good. Next, I wanted to know how long these showers were, and this is where it gets a little tricky. I would say normally around 5 to 6, maybe 7 minutes. It consists of like a normal shower with a short length, but we can see that only a quarter fit that. Pretty much everyone else was over that, which is pretty bad, and that's something that people should learn to work on, is really focus on cutting those shower times down. Maybe 7 to 8 minutes is okay. This next slide is a slide you may not have actually seen. I set it up so when it asks, do you take long showers, if you said anything less than sometimes, you didn't see this question. But 60% of people did say sometimes. So what we're looking at here is these people, it's kind of tricky because other than the one person who said 6 to 8 minutes and maybe the two people that said 9 to 11, 12 to over 20 minutes is pretty long, and I would recommend, cutting that down. The difficult thing though is if you're only showering, taking a long shower maybe once a week or once a month, and that's your sometimes, then maybe it's not so bad. The question before this one on the quiz asks if you leave the water running while brushing your teeth. 80% of people said a mix of never or rarely, which is pretty good. I'm impressed with that. But when it comes to leaving the water running while shaving, it's a weird inverse symmetrical curve, or a graph, sorry. And we see that people either always leave the water running or don't. I'm not sure how to change this, but the thing is, be more conscious and just, once again, turn the water off and you'll save a lot of water. Here's the question I was maybe the most impressed with in terms of, do you leave the water running while washing dishes? This is my biggest problem, and I figured, it would be a lot of people's problem. But looking at this, it's kind of even except for people that, the majority of this says sometimes. But I'm actually pretty impressed with this because most people don't do it constantly like I do.
and it is the most, or the easiest way to waste water. I think it's the most at about 10 gallons. Are you conscious of your water use throughout the day? About 75% of people said, they are. They're always, usually, or sometimes conscious. And I'd say that's pretty good. And that really goes directly into how they view, water use as dealing with climate change. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being that climate change is the biggest issue, most people said that climate change was a really big issue. And that's nice to see that also, these people from Boulder, 60%, and then the 75% say they're conscious about water, and they also feel that climate change is the largest or biggest, one of the biggest issues. That speaks well for the future of, our world and water. We now get to the questions that I designed to kind of see how much do people know about Boulder and where their water comes from. Judging by this, I was astounded by this result. I figured no one would know. But actually, 65% of the responders of the quiz said all of the above, which is the correct answer. Things get trickier, though, with the next questions. This question and the next 3 questions are designed to explore how much the quiz taker knows about the average water use and how much water they're wasting when they leave something running. And so here, I gotta say, I pretty much expected this. Only 13% got this right, and the correct answer is that the average American uses about 90 or 88 gallons of water per day. That's a ton. About how many gallons of water are used per day if you leave the water running while brushing your teeth? Remember that 75% of people rarely or never leave the water running while brushing your teeth. And I also worded this question quite poorly. The answer is 8, but that includes brushing your teeth in the morning and evening. But if we actually look at just having that for brushing your teeth at one period, it's 4 gallons, and most people, about 55%, got that right. I'd say that's fairly impressive and matches the amount of people that said they never or rarely leave the water running. About how many gallons of water are used per day if you leave the water running while shaving, for men and women? The answer is 10, and only 2 out of the 45 quiz takers knew that. It shows people aren't really conscious or understand the amount of water they're using while leaving it on while shaving. And also, it's going back to show that this was the weird graph that was kind of a symmetrical inverse one, where people either left the water on or they didn't. It'd be interesting to see who chose what based off of that. But unfortunately, I don't have that information. But again, this is something where people need to work on, myself included. Now here's the question that I realized was my biggest enemy. How many gallons of water are used per day if you leave the water running while washing dishes? When I'm washing dishes, I'm scrubbing pots and pans, rinsing, grabbing the next thing, all while the water is running. And I'm one of those people using about 10 gallons of water. That's the correct answer that 7 of the 45 quiz takers got. About 35%, however, are within that area of 10 to 15 gallons, which show that they understand they're using a lot of water, which is really good. How much does the average American family spend per year on water costs? This is the last question I've decided to include for my quiz, and the answer is over 1,000, which 30% of quiz takers got correct. Now, whether you said 750 or 1,000, all that's pretty high and expensive. So I would say that most of the quiz takers understand that water's fairly expensive to waste. So I think this is a good sign that we can really help the environment and cut down on our water use.
Okay guys, it's the end of, I don't know why I did that, but it is the end of 10 days of being more conservative with my water use. And, also, sorry that you had to have those horrible angles throughout the entire video. I didn't realize that I could just stand my phone on top of my computer like this and make it actually look like a normal documentary. But to close out, which I hope you like this video and thank you for watching, I have one thing to share with you. It's not using the small stuff like, giving some water to plants or adding water to a pot that's going to be boiled. The most important thing you can take away from this video is when you're using water and not using water, just turn it on and off. That's all you have to remember. That'll save more water than you can imagine. Just, when shaving your legs or shaving your face, whatever you do, just turn off the water for the time being and, just shave and then rinse off after that. Similar to your shower, with conditioner, shampoo. You know, when you have the conditioner in, just maybe wash your body or other stuff like that. Focus on the big changes and turning water on and off. The small stuff, if you can, that's great, but the big changes will lead to bigger help for our environment. Thanks for watching.